We have with us Harshil Mathur, the co-founder and CEO of Razorpay. Harshil, your first time in Davos. What are you picking up about the fintech opportunity that you see globally, the perception globally about fintechs in India? What are people telling you?
I think it was my first time, and I was mostly spending my time meeting a lot of folks from global companies, global industries, trying to see what can we do there. And one thing that I do feel is that I think the fintech story of India is not as well known. I think so. When I tell people that 50% of all real-time payments in the world happen in India, it's hard for them to believe. They say, "Oh, isn't it China? Isn't it something else?" And then I have to explain, "No, it's India. You can look it up." So I think you can do a better job at telling the world the amazing stuff that we have built in fintech, and that's something I'm definitely doing on my side. The other thing is when you tell them about it, there's a lot of excitement on how India achieved that, how we are doing almost 60% plus digital transactions, the amazing scale at which digital transactions are happening. I mean, UPI is bigger than all transactions that MasterCard does globally. I think all of these are just amazing facts. And when you tell people them, they're really excited on how India, something that they consider behind on technology, is so ahead on fintech. So that's an amazing feeling.
Right. Take us through your own global expansion strategy, Harshil. Have you identified any new pockets from your discussions here?
Yeah, so we have been focusing on global expansion for the last 2 years. We are now quite large in Malaysia. We're launching in Singapore sometime this year. We are already in UAE. We are working on Indonesia and other markets in Southeast Asia. So one of the reasons for me to come here was to meet people in these different geographies, build a connect with them, the largest players in each of these markets, and see what can we do with them. So that has been a driving factor. And what I have found is that at least in Southeast Asia, I feel there's a lot that Indian fintech companies can do. Southeast Asia, I mean, we heard the Malaysian PM yesterday. A lot of these countries are trying to replicate India's digital financial journey. And so that is an opportunity for companies like ours who have played that role in India to play that role in these markets.
Right. We're also seeing consolidation happening in the fintech space in India. For instance, Amazon, taking over Axio. So are you looking at any opportunities in terms of acquisitions in the fintech space?
I think fintech ecosystem is reaching a scale of maturity, and these are signs of a mature ecosystem where different pieces come together and build a large platform. We have done our own series. I mean, we've done almost 8 to 9 acquisitions in the last 3 years. And I think right now the focus is on stabilizing them and then creating this cohesive ecosystem. So with offline, the EasyTab was our largest acquisition that we did about almost 1.5 years back. And I think now we have got it all together and we are pushing offline and online as a single omni-channel component. So at least for short to medium term, I don't think anything is right on the cards. For us, the focus right now is to consolidate whatever we have built and acquired in the last 2-3 years, and then bring a Razorpay as one story out.
Right. And in terms of the other forays, lending, fintech infra, how have they performed? And what other areas can we see you entering?
Yeah, so one big area that we entered last year is loyalty. And we are building a bunch of stuff there. We are providing gift cards for a lot of large brands, including Swiggy, including Zomato, including a lot of others. So that has been a completely new frontier for us. But we're seeing great adoption. I think the second channel from on top of that will be helping merchants do acquisition better, helping merchants do promotions across our base. And that's the second big proposition that we're going to launch sometime this year. And loyalty and marketing goes hand in hand with payments everywhere else in the world, but somehow that hasn't happened in India much. So our focus would be to bring those solutions out so that you don't just see payments as something you have to do as a pipe, but you see payments as a channel to grow your business.
Right. I read on the agenda that Patrick Collison from Stripe is also here at WEF. Did you have a chance to bump into him anywhere, considering you went for all the big parties here from McKinsey to JP Morgan?
I met Stripe team, not Patrick himself, but we have known him for a while. Met the Stripe team. There's a lot of opportunity to collaborate, at least on the cross-border pieces, because we are scaling massively on the cross-border side. So we're trying to work with global payment players, including the likes of Stripe, including the likes of JP Morgan Chase and others, to see how can we collaborate with global players to increase our cross-border penetration. So that is always an opportunity. And fintech is that kind of business where even if you compete, there is always an opportunity to collaborate.
So anything fruitful coming out of the meetings with Stripe here?
We'll see. These are all, like this is not a place to close down deals, but more to initiate conversations. We'll see what shapes it takes.
Right. Now, Razorpay is flipping back to India. At what stage is it in? Have you calculated on the tax expense, and what's the timeline for the flip?
Yeah, so we are underway. We have applied to the government authorities. We'll wait for that approval. The tax component depends on how the authorities evaluate us when the flip actually gets approved. Hard to say exactly right now, but I mean, there are numbers in the market and they are quite well known. It's a sizable number. It's a significant cost, but I believe while it's a significant cost, I believe it's a small price to pay to be in India, to be in the market where we operate in. I believe it should take less than 6 months for us to complete the flip. Rest depends on government approvals when it comes to.
So, this less than 6 months to complete the flip will include the NCLT.
Yeah, so we are going with a different route, which is the new route that the government has launched,
Right,
which is a
right.
fast track route where we don't have to go through the NCLT process. You'll see we're one of the first companies going with that route that the government has recently announced. Hopefully, it should be faster.
Right. So, from then to IPO, what's the timeline? Have you already called for IPO pitches from bankers?
No, it's a little early to do that. We believe we are at least 2 years away from an IPO. So once the flip is complete, let's say 6-ish months, we want to give ourselves 1.5 years of runway from there and
Right.
then go
Right.
public. But of course, public is in the cards. And one of the reasons for doing the flip is because we want to list in India.
Right. And you've also mentioned about, your expansion into the offline segment in overseas
Yeah.
market. Tell us a little more about that.
Yeah, so as I was speaking earlier, like offline has been a big drive for us. We went through an acquisition there, and now Razorpay has. I think we're one of the only companies that has a very large scale omni-channel offering. What that means is that you can use online and offline as one single stack. We have seen companies like Decathlon move to us because of that. Companies like Lenskart use us, and a lot many who want one single channel for online and offline, and so they have the ability to track their customer. So to give an example, like if you shut off a store in a particular neighborhood, you can track whether those customers moved online, whether the customers stopped coming, or whether they moved to a different store. Those kind of analytics are fairly common in US and Europe, but nothing like that exists in India, and we want to bring that technology here.
Right. Harshil, if I look at the payment system in India, it's sort of been based on open APIs and interoperability. So the move by some PAs to not work with a third-party payment orchestrator, is it a step backwards for the industry? Give us a broader sense.
Yeah, so it's not something that has happened suddenly. It has been something that's been going on as a challenge for last almost a year or so. I think we work with almost every player in the ecosystem, and a lot of us work with every player in the ecosystem. But a partnership has to be based on ability to cross-share and grow business. When that shape changes, then sometimes companies have to do what is right for their customers. I think it's less about competition or money or anything else. It's more about the brand. And if a partnership erodes our brand, then we'll take the call that makes sense.
Right. And, we are just a few days away from the budget. Any specific asks from a fintech perspective?
Yeah.
From a regulatory perspective, from a bottleneck perspective.
Yeah. No, as startups, you always have a lot of asks. I think one of the big asks that we be pushing, I think the government has done a lot of changes over the last few budgets to make the life of startups very easy. I think one small component that still needs to be solved is when we issue ESOPs and our employees exercise those ESOPs, they have to pay taxes at the time of exercise, even when they don't earn any money. Our push is in markets like US, you can opt to delay the tax payout till you actually sell those shares. India should have something like that so that employees don't have to go out of pocket just to exercise the ESOPs that they get from their company. So that is one big ask, and I feel that is something that hopefully the government takes up favorably.
Great. On that note, thank you very much, Harshil, for talking to us.
Thank you, Santa. Nice meeting you.